Hello, baby, how you doing? Look, over with. Huh? Order the L's. Order the L's. Nigga, first of all, multiple times name coming up in some gay shit. You dealing with them trannies, we had nothing dealing with them trannies and shit. Multiple times. Then, who pleads with the punk, blood? How nigga mad at niggas for laughing? He mad at niggas for laughing and talking about this shit. But nigga, you sitting there fucking pleading with the punk. No, what you gotta do is you gotta write a letter. Yeah, blood, nigga, you was playing with that penis, nigga. I know that ain't no nigga. Nigga been trying to down that nigga for you trying to plead with the punk. Cause you know that nigga ain't lying, blood. Cause that nigga ain't lying. That's why. Nigga, cause that nigga ain't lying. Nigga trying to plead with the punk. No, you just gotta write a letter. No, cause this is bigger than you. This is real bigger than you. Still trying to smooth the punk down. Still trying to smooth blood down. Get over here, blood. That nigga like that penis, blood. You ain't slick, blood. That nigga ain't slick, blood. Don't no real nigga's name just constantly come up in gay shit like that's like a nigga steady bringing my name up with cheeseburger or something like that. Nigga, I don't hang with that nigga. I don't be nowhere around that nigga. But like, you feel me? Like, that's what I'm saying. Nigga, ain't no real nigga name just come up in circle and fag. Circles of fag. Like, I mean, not fag, circles of Starboy. Like, you feel me? Like nobody name, no real nigga name just always constantly getting tossed around in them circles. See, one thing I know about Starboy, one thing I know about Starboy, they want to be bitches so bad. They want to be bitches so bad. And then another thing I know about Starboys, they still niggas, but so they want somebody to know their story. You think a nigga, we love talking about the pussy we get, but like, you think a nigga don't like bragging about? You think you think I'm not finna fuck Apple and then go brag? Oh yeah, I just like nigga love bragging on who they fuck. You know that nigga was gonna do it, nigga. The fuck, sing it, bro. Serious. And then every time niggas got receipts, how the fuck do niggas got receipts every time? How the fuck you steady getting right like that? Lies, all of the lies. Guilty. Remove the whole nigga. Christian. Steady lying and shit. Let remove the whole. That ain't no real shit, bro. That ain't no real shit, bro. I'm just saying, bro. Steady lying and shit, bro. I ain't like serious shit, but like serious shit. I'm such a real, like if I'm just saying like this some hypothetical shit. I'll probably be a real enough nigga to be like blood. Fuck that. Yeah, I got some hair. So what? But I like a little hair. So like I mean, fuck it, blood. If you bust it, you bust it. Fuck it. I like some hair. I like a little boy pussy sometimes. I'm just saying. I'm saying, bro. Like fuck it, nigga. Live your truth, nigga. That ain't no real nigga shit trying to deny it, blood. Everybody else fucking gay anyway, nigga. Shit, bro. Look at R. Kelly, blood. R. Kelly been getting bust up his back all these years, nigga. We didn't know. Listen. Goddamn. It's the lies and the deceit. No serious shit, cause we be fans of these niggas, but it be the lies and the deceit, blood. Like even in the end, even when you caught, niggas still can't just be a real nigga. Like, you know what? Like, you still can't even save face and hold your head up higher. So niggas still gotta go out bad. Remove the whole nigga from the street, bro. I'm just saying, bro. Serious shit. Listen.
What the fuck?
Serious shit. Like, if you don't keep it real with yourself,
I thought it was a woman.
You never be real with nobody. You never like, blood. You can't even keep it real with yourself, man. Niggas can't keep it real, G. You niggas like penis, bro. You niggas like penis, bro. Let's say like, bro, keep it real with yourself, bro. You niggas, you'll never be a real nigga, bro. You can't even keep it real with yourself. You niggas like penis. Jesus. Jesus. What's the deal, though? Good afternoon. Anyway, moving along. What's the deal? Look. Fuck all that. Raw the YGs and the gangsters that. Let's tell them niggas hit the yard. It's like second and up. Let's talk bullshit. Go straight Inglewood.
How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, yesterday, when Lisa Cabrera had her hangout, I was watching the news at the same time, and while we were chit-chatting back and forth, I had put in the comment box that there was a fire over in Brazil that burned down Brazil's museum. Now, this is the fire here that y'all can see, and I don't know who said it because I'm never gonna steal anybody's any statements anyone make, but whoever it is, please let yourself be known. One of Lisa's subs said, could have been burned down because, throughout the world, the motherland has been asking for her artifacts back. And in fact, here is something in a paper over in Britain. Should Britain return African stolen treasures? Yes, they should, because they make millions and millions of dollars off of these stolen artifacts. And when I read that statement, and it wasn't verbatim, but when I read that statement, it just made me think, because I've heard for years various people in the vast continent of Akibalon, she wants her it's like her baby's back. And these people have a nerve to want to have their lips stuck out. So when that statement was made about they possibly could have burned it down, it's not a far stretch. But then I thought of something else. Is the divine hand at work, or is this man-made? Something to think about, my royal family. So I got 2 videos I'm going to play, and I will close it out nice and sweet like I always do. So let's get a deeper look.
Flames shot through the French windows and ornate iron balconies of this former 19th century palace. Museum employees and art lovers watched in frustration as firefighters fought to save Rio de Janeiro's National Museum, and in doing so preserve centuries of cultural and artistic history.
I just saw a piece of my history. The house of the emperor, where the Emperor Dom Pedro II of Brazil used to live, being destroyed. I see the history of my country becoming ashes. It has no price. I am devastated.
President Michel Temer echoed that sentiment, calling this a sad day for all Brazilians who have watched 200 years of work, investigation, and knowledge lost. The fire began after the museum closed its doors on Sunday evening. 80 firefighters worked through Monday morning to put it out. A fire department spokesman says they were hampered because 2 fire hydrants closest to the museum weren't working, and fire trucks had to be dispatched to retrieve water from a nearby lake.
It's a loss for the world. This can never be recovered. For the people, the building, there's no way to get it back. Thankfully, no one died, but the loss can never be recovered.
Even before the flames were put out, there was anger among museum employees. They blamed budget cuts by the government and a chronic lack of support. The National Museum's hundreds of rooms featured ancient Egyptian artifacts, the largest collection in Latin America, and the oldest human fossil in Brazil, known as Luiza. The museum turned 200 this year. Now 2018 will also be remembered for this devastating fire. Natasha Ghanem, Al Jazeera.
All right, my royal family. Make you go, Well, let's continue on.
Starting out with the reactions to this devastating fire at Brazil's National Museum.
Yes, it marked its bicentennial anniversary on June the 6th this year, and now really the nation is in mourning. Many people sharing images like this one with the word luto, that hashtag being used very widely as well, meaning simply mourning, because it is such an important part of Brazil's cultural heritage, and many other countries too, because it wasn't just Brazilian artifacts that it held. This is one of the things that has been lost. It's a fresco, a Roman fresco from Pompeii that survived the fiery wrath of Vesuvius, but then was destroyed in this fire, which many people are saying is the result of neglect and should have been avoided. This gentleman says survived a volcano but couldn't handle the Brazilian politics. Sad day. More about the politics of this in a moment. One of the other things that is a great tragedy to note is that part of the reason this fire was able to take such hold is there was a delay in getting water to it because two of the fire hydrants weren't working. They had run dry, firefighters having to wait for water trucks to arrive, having collected water from nearby lakes. This historian really putting into context the scale of what has been lost in this fire. Quai Branly, a museum here in Paris, has an estimated 450,000 objects. The British Museum, 8 million works. But the National Museum in Brazil has an estimated, or had an estimated 20 million objects. It really is heartbreaking to see such a loss on such a scale. And really it will happen very, very quickly. Now, what we are starting to see is the anger, actually people taking to the streets, standing in front of the museum, staging these protests, saying this was a tragedy that was foretold. And it was. Many people sharing this article, which warned about the cuts to maintenance funding that have been going on for many, many years, meaning that in the first 4 months of 2018, they'd only received €11,000 to help maintain what was such an immensely important historical site. Now, that was published 3 months ago, and in it, the director said that he had all these plans to invest. He wanted to model it on New York's Natural History Museum, but already 10 of its 30 exhibition halls were closed, and visitor numbers had actually plummeted because many people thought this museum was already shut down. It is unlikely that it will be resurrected in anything like its former glory. This is how it looks now, these images from TV Globo. There are a couple of things that have survived, including a meteor from the 18th century, which weighs more than 5 tons. That's one of the few things still standing in the rubble. And this image really sums up the day, I think, a firefighter looking pretty forlorn, carrying in his hand one of the artifacts that did manage to survive.
So, national tragedy, international perspective to it as well, and unsurprisingly, it is becoming more and more politicised.
Very much so. The current president, Michel Temer, spoke of the incalculable loss, but it's Dilma Rousseff, the former president, who has really courted controversy and made a lot of people very angry. She tweeted this. She accused what she called the cut scammers of freezing investment for 20 years in health, education and culture, compromising the future until the past is turned into ashes. Now, that's all very poetic, but a lot of people feeling that really she should have been shouldering more of the blame on this one. This person saying lying opportunist, and has some accompanying headlines detailing budget cuts that happened under her administration. This gentleman too saying, with all due respect, former president, are you not to blame as well? But as you say, it is an international tragedy, and many people voicing their support and their sadness, including the British Library, who says this is a reminder of the fragility and preciousness of our shared global heritage.
And those things, of course, lost forever, which is incredibly tragic on that level. Now, here in France, there's a new initiative to protect crumbling heritage sites.
but not everyone is impressed by this project. Do explain.
Yes, it's called the Loto du Patrimoine, which basically means heritage lottery. If you're from the UK, it'll sound familiar. That's kind of where they got their inspiration. And the idea is it's a lottery to raise all sorts of money, millions of euros to fund work on key sites across the country, 270 in all. But there are 18 in particular that are described as emblematic endangered monuments, including this one, a Roman aqueduct near Lyon. There are also old chateaux, churches, a railway roundhouse, and this Fort Sigouin in Finistère, which is a military fort currently used by members of a local sailing club. I'm not sure whether they will still be allowed to use it once money's been...
It's your sailing club, you know?
Yes, I don't know whether they'll still be able to use it once money's been poured into to do it up. But anyway, they are hoping that this lotto is going to raise between 15 and 20 million euros for this cause. There's going to be a draw on the 14th of September for a super lotto jackpot of 13 million, which ties in with when we have the Heritage Weekend here in France. There are also 12 million scratch cards on sale, 6 of which have a jackpot of 1.5 million on them. They are expensive though, 15 euros a pop for those scratch cards. Some people taking part saying this is my contribution to our heritage. Others, though, are very angry about the amount of money that is going into the projects themselves. The tickets cost 15 euros. Only €1.50 actually goes to the Heritage Foundation, which does seem a very, very small figure. Some people calling it a beautiful con. This person saying, I was interested in the idea to begin with, then I read about it, and we are being taken for idiots.
That just about sums it all up. Emma, thank you very much indeed for your reading. Gemma James.
All right, my royal family. That is quite convenient, I see. First thing I want to say is all of this stuff is insured. Who the fuck do they think they are fooling? When you have precious artifacts, or let's say stolen artifacts, trust and believe, they guard this shit with their life. And now more demands are being made for these artifacts to be returned to its rightful place. And I'm leaning right now more towards the human hand has something to do with it. Now, I feel like it was deliberately left to fall apart because I listened to language real well, and that woman was talking about international support. And don't think that these people ain't evil enough to say, fuck it, we'll burn the shit down. And how do we know if that stuff was burned down? It could have been removed. It's quite convenient that it would burn soon as it closed. Now people are out protesting. And what are they protesting for? Because the majority of those artifacts are ours. Or put it this way, one time Brazil was the whole world was totally black. But, people lose sight of that, and there is a great deal of Afro influence over in Brazil. And they exercise their isms too as well. But that was the first thing that popped up in my head. All of this is insured. And how do we really know if these precious artifacts that were stolen from us is really burnt down? Or could it be the divine hand? So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.
historians who consider themselves Israeli historians, historians who consider themselves Hebrew historians, even in fact biblical historians, actually say now that all of the patriarchs are mythological. I'm talking about Abraham. Abraham did not come from Ur or Chaldea. By the way, the Bible says Chaldea, but we know that that land wasn't called Chaldea until much later. We know that they talk about a sojourn on camels. We know that camels weren't even introduced into the area until much later. We now know that they spoke the same language as the people of Canaan, that they worshiped the same gods as the people of Canaan. We know that they came out of Canaan. So what has happened is we understand now that Abraham, that Moses, that David, that Joshua, that these individuals that are seminal to the biblical story are now mythological characters. Now, I want to be really clear. Some of you are going to be really upset that I said that, and that's fine. But I want you to understand that saying something is mythological is not necessarily saying something negative. We have to stop making our spiritual text like newspapers. We have to stop making our spiritual text literal histories, and then saying that if the history didn't occur as it did in that book, that means that that book should be discarded. That means that that book is a lie. That is not what myth is. You've heard me say this before, family. History is what happened once, what someone did once. Myth is what you should always be doing. Myth, in some sense, is a higher vibration than history. So if you want to mythologize the story of a sojourn and exodus of the Hebrew people from Kemet, and recognize that they're not talking about something that actually happened, they're talking about what you must do when you're in the face of great power and how you can be victorious, then I can rock with you. I'm okay with that. But once you begin to make it historical, you will have problems. And even more when you're trying to make a story that's mythological, historical, and you're actually speaking ill of your ancestors, then you have even more problems. You've heard me say that when you go against your ancient African ancestors, you will lose. And I don't.
All of this is steeped in ma'at. It's steeped in it. And if you know what ma'at is, if you're not coming with ma'at, what can you possibly be coming with that is not ma'at, that can undo ma'at?
See, he's talking about ma'at. Ma'at is the order. She is the stuff of the universe. She is a deity that has no creation story. Because when the universe exists, ma'at must exist. Now here's the deal. Yes, we're talking about myth rather than history. Now there's some people who would like to be Hebrew apologists. That's the category I would put our dear brother Divine Prospect in. He's a Hebrew apologist. Now, please don't forget that the Bible is not one book.
That's right.
The Bible is several books that were curated by Europeans and even in some instances plagiarized by Europeans. And so if you are going to read those texts, you must re-Africanize them before you live by them. So if you simply want to read them like they are the scroll of human history and human futures, you will be sorely mistaken. They will lead you back to a prone position in front of the European, in front of the Tom who. I won't even call them the European because I won't give them that credit.
Malcolm said something. Malcolm provided a cure-all pill to some degree when he said in his message to the grassroots, history of all subject matters is most qualified to reward all research. That's what Malcolm said. He didn't say religion. He didn't say this or that or the other. He said history. Because there's not one subject matter that you can name that does not have history.
If you look here, you're actually going to see a papyrus that describes an interaction between, if you look at this ruler right here, this ruler is actually the ruler that most people are familiar with, Ramses the Great, Ramesses II, Ramesses Meriamun, Usar Ma'at Ra Sertepen Ra. That's who this gentleman is here. And here, I'm going to skip this character here for a second. Here, you're actually seeing his beautiful wife, Nefertari. And they are actually walking with who? Ma'at. Now let's be clear. Ramesses' name, in fact, two of his names, for those of you who don't know, most rulers in Kemet actually had at least 5 names. Notice in the Bible, not even one is given. And that's because they were not trying to tell you a history in the classical sense. They were trying to give you a sense of how these people bubbled up from the rest of the people in the region. That's what they were attempting to do. But unfortunately, after the 3rd century AD, CE, what happened is people who wanted to take control of this Christian movement, people who wanted, these are European people who wanted to actually put themselves in a position where they would be in power, they made the story literal. That's what happened. And so that's what we're dealing with right now. That's the reason why you've heard me say to my dear Hebrew Israelite brothers that the chains are no longer on your wrist, but they're still on the soul, on your soul. And what you have to do is you have to remove the Tamhu, remove the European from your soul. And as long as the European is there, you can speak as revolutionary as you want. You can talk about how you're confronting white people all day long, but the reality is the white man is now inside you. Remove him, and then you'll be able to move forward. The character that you see in between Ramesses and Nefertari is actually Ma'at. This is Ma'at here. Her name is not issued in what some of you know as a cartouche. I don't use the word cartouche, it's a French word. It actually is a French word for bullet cartridge. When Napoleon took his French soldiers to Kemet, they saw these things and they recognized that the names of rulers were in them, and they thought it looked like the cartridge that they held their bullets in. And so they called these cartouches. Brothers and sisters, if you think that the names of your African ancestors have been encased in a symbol of death, then maybe that's why they're not intervening on your behalf while you're catching hell in 2017 in the United States. What you need to do is recognize that this is called a Shen. And a Shen is a symbol of everlasting life. So your ancestors have encased their names in a symbol of everlasting life. If you recognize that functional spiritual concept, then maybe they would still be here and they'd be able to assist you. Because if you are absolutely authentically African, you cannot undermine, abrogate, and disrespect the fundamental position of the divine feminine. And so for him to be talking about Ma'at is of critical importance when we talk about those people who are in the Abrahamic traditions. Because those traditions have been patriarchal for over 2,000 years.
Well, it's good to be very diversified, because had there been any other person sitting next to him, I'd just have to say I pass, because he just did everything you could do, encapsulated this idea in a very short period of time. He's done it justice. You know, one of the virtues or principles of Ma'at. And so I'm going to go with some of the aesthetics, because when we deal with Kemetic science, we always have to understand, based on their corpus, that there's always an eschatological and cosmogonical origin or correlation that can be made. And when we study the works, like when we look at the Book of Gates or the Amduat, right, we notice that they write in 3 registers, and the top, middle, and the bottom represent